Right. Looks like we're filming now. This is a thin handle, UK, as in British, tech, flat bottom tech. Doesn't come around a lot, but they do exist out there. And this is from one of the UK Gillettes, and it just shaves really well. Tried it a couple of times, been a while though. Since it's kind of a nice cutter, but kind of mild, but it still cuts efficiently, I'm going to throw my feather in it, and let's see how it does. A mild razor with a feather often is a really good result for me. The brush we're going to use today is this Semogue 1305. This is the long-handled equivalent of the Semogue 830. I had it soaking for a few hours. I'm bringing a bunch of boars up kind of together, and it's his turn now. The blade we're going to throw into the flat bottom tech is this feather. How many uses? We've got 21 uses on this blade, and he was a little rough yesterday with a Fatip, the mild one, Testina Gentile. So let's go ahead and put him in the flat bottom tech. Maybe I should have brought another tech for you to take a look at. Be able to tell the difference. Blade sits there nicely like a lot of techs. It's got the 4 posts on the corners. Really helps keep those blades aligned. So here is the flat bottom. It doesn't have that diamond beveled indention in the middle, kind of to hold it all together. It's just a really sweet design with all the geometry. Works out really well. So I'll just lay that guy on top there. And then obviously kind of a hollow handle, so the balance is definitely, you know, up toward the head. Okay, and no adjustments necessary because of those posts I was telling you about. Looking forward to that. Now here's my other idea. I used this yesterday. Heard a lot about it online. I already know that I love Stirling soaps. Used to avoid barbershops, but I'm liking them now. Tastes change. And so I brush lathered, and I got very little scent. When I stick my nose in this or in the lather bowl, I do get a nice scent, and I really like it. But I didn't really get anything while I was shaving. So I'm going to try something different. Instead of brush loading, I am going to scoop, kind of like I have in the past. I thought that brush loading would help me kind of enjoy the experience more, and I was right. It's a more natural thing. It seems to me more in line with the historical nature of our little hobby here. Instead of scooping, you know, with a tiny little spoon. That's weird. And so I haven't been scooping for a while, unless I have to because it's a sample or something like that. Well, here's my theory. If I scoop, then I'm getting underneath past that first layer of soap. And so maybe, like if this soap had been sitting out opened or just sitting out for a while, maybe they wanted to make sure that it dried, or, you know, something like that. Because I did buy this used. Maybe there's more of a concentration of scent underneath. Let's pick a figure like 3 millimeters of the top. Let's say that 3 millimeters kind of releases its scent more quickly because it's right at the top. Okay, but anything below that, it holds onto its scent because it's not exposed. Okay, so if I dig down with a scoop, maybe I'm getting to the good stuff. So let's see if the scent is stronger this time. All right, I'm going to rinse this out. I'm also going to throw some water on my face. A cold water shave today. Am I rolling? Looks like it, maybe. Yeah, there we go. My clock was frozen. It wasn't moving, so I didn't know if I was going or not. All right, it is the winter, and my tap water is super cold, and it is hard water. Here is a little bit more than a quarter teaspoon, because I kind of had the perfect amount last time, and I want to have a little bit extra. This is a lather bowl. I'll throw a link into the description, the soap section. This is a 3D printed lather bowl. You can see kind of the texture. And it's got this awesome brush rest. It's got these great soap mixing spirals and ridges inside. It's just the right shape. It has this inturned lip right here to keep the lather in. So I really am enjoying it. So let's get the 1305 out. I'm going to shake most of the water out. And then we'll start with this. Something else I want to do different today. I'm going to just put a whole bunch of water in it first. But first I'm going to make sure this is stabilized. Stirling doesn't quite get airy and bubbly like some of them, and just a very short time, we've got a pretty decent little foam going in there without very much water in the mix here. Okay, now yesterday I put in 2.5 teaspoons, so let's just go ahead and put a full 2 teaspoons right in there. This may result in a faster lather experience. Of course, I do want to go slow with my mixing here at first until the water starts mixing more with the soap. Some soaps can't take adding water, from my understanding. They just can't take water that fast. Let's try it with Stirling. Some people add water quickly in a certain method, and they're not really knowing about it. They leave water in their brush after they take it out of the soaking cup, or after they wring it, they have it under the faucet. Instead of shaking it quite as much as I do, they will just leave a bunch of water in the brush. And so that might be their way of starting with maybe a 1.5 teaspoons, or something like that. Really like this brush. My first Boar, was a Semogue 830, and it's the premium hairs. Premium hairs, just like this guy is. But I was on Amazon, didn't know anything about forums, shave forums, or anything like that. And I read reviews, and it talked about the acrylic handle, or whatever plastic that's made from. It talked about that, of course, being stronger if dropped, and these enamel painted handles being, they can chip and all that. And of course, just plastic is going to last longer than the wood. Probably thinking about some people who might be soaking their brushes every day when they use them. Well, that's one of the reasons I don't soak the handle part of my brushes. I only soak the bristle part. But in light of all those things, I went ahead and got the little acrylic 830, Semogue 830. And sure enough, it's a great little brush. But that short little handle wasn't all that great. I mean, see this longer handle, and the tips of my fingers are still getting a little soapy. Well, that little acrylic handle gets soap on it, and it is slippery. So, went ahead and picked up this brush, And I like it a lot better because of the way I use it. If you're a face latherer, then you can enjoy those little small handled brushes. So yeah, sure enough, take a look at that. Still a little bit on the stiff side. Let's add another half teaspoon. Now that's 3 teaspoons in there. So yeah, that's kind of, I don't mind that it takes too long to put that together. I think this brush has about maybe 6 uses on it, 5 or 6 uses. So it's pretty young. There we go. Look at that. I might put a little bit more. We'll probably try this out. So this is a 3D printable bowl, like I said, and you can go to thingiverse.com with the link that I'll put in the description. And Roger said he was going to put 3 sizes on there, so you can pick your size. This is the extra large version. At the top lip here, interior diameter is 140 millimeters approximately. Just where I like it, apparently. Look at that. Some good stuff. All right, let's go with that. Now, part 2 of splashing my face with the water. That's a comfortable brush already. So young. I believe this soaking method I'm doing, I think I'm pretty happy with it. It's not as extreme as 3 days in a refrigerator. And so I kind of think that might be better on the brush hairs. I don't know. I'm just guessing here. I got a nose full right there. Wasn't tons, but it was something to enjoy. It might be something to my little theory. Go and get just a little more lather here. Yeah, this brush feels good. Really nice. I like these premium bristles. Good looking lather too. I like that. All right. So, flat bottom tech. Such a thin little handle. See how the feather works in that. Well, it's not super mild because I do feel the edge, but it's comfortable. You can probably hear it a little bit. One of the things about really light razors is that you feel them when they're cutting through that first pass of hair. There's a little bit of drag, not because of the metal across the surface of your skin, but the blade dragging because it's chopping hairs as it goes. And then you just don't get that same feel on the subsequent passes. All right. And some razors will have a geometry that's more friendly for you. Some will have a newer blade, might be sharper, and so it'll cut through instead of being needing a little bit more force. And then, of course, if you've got a heavier razor, it's got that inertia. And so once you start it moving, it's going to want to keep moving through the hairs, and you're less likely to feel the sensation of having to push through the hairs. All right, let's rinse this. Left a little bit of water on my face after the rinse because I believe this particular lather is needing just a little bit of water to make it the right slickness for me. So I believe it's the 1800 brush from Semogue that has these same premium hairs, premium bristles, but they also threw in some extra grade. And I believe what the extra brings to the table is a little bit more stiffness and backbone, and sometimes that is good because backbone keeps it from getting too floppy, that sort of thing. So if you have the 1305 and maybe you want it to be a little bit scrubbier, but have a little bit more backbone to it, then I think the 1800 might be one to look at. All right, second pass is going to be a lot smoother than the first. Very nice. Just staying very light. Stirling is just a wonderfully slick soap. It may not be what a lot of people call top tier, but it's almost half the price. And I'd say it's only maybe 80%, 85% is good. So in terms of bang for your buck, I think it's terrific. Combined with all the scent offerings they have. That was a very comfortable pass. And rinse. And again, I jam the brush down into the lather to push the lather up in between the bristles. And these tips are nice and soft. I'm not bothering my skin. I've just shaved over it twice, and so this brush is not going to be responsible for giving you any brush burn, that's for sure. All right. Nice, smooth, comfortable pass. Going back over this same area, focusing on my angles. cheeks, to be honest with you. Probably don't even need to be gone over this third time here, but it's a good opportunity to see if you can get that perfect angle that will just cut every single hair around. All right. That cut looks really good. The UK Gillettes are kind of, in my experience with the ones I've tried, a little bit more efficient than the American kind of versions, but still quite comfortable. And so I often end up with a closer cut at the end of 3 passes with the UK Gillettes. Here I am lathered up for a 4th time. Just to prove a point, I just finished 3 passes of shaving with this barbershop, and while I did have one time where I had the brush going around, I got a good nose full and enjoyed the scent. For the most part, it's been difficult to detect, and that is the same that I experienced yesterday. So it looks like in this particular case, digging deep and getting something that's under the surface didn't really help me all that much. So that's what it is. And so just to be sure, I went ahead and lathered up for this 4th time. I'm just going to wipe it off. I'm not going to use it with a razor or anything. But I just did it again. I am smelling it just a tiny bit. 3 out of 10 is kind of where I might put it. Just barely there during the shaving process. Oh well, that's too bad really, because I really like this scent. Look at how much lather I have left. Obviously I had an extra pass since I just washed it off my face, and then it looks like here's another pass. So that's 5 passes of lather without a problem. And I like that. That's kind of the margin that I like to have, because soap's relatively cheap. So having an extra pass on hand doesn't really cost all that much. Water used was 3.5 teaspoons for a little bit more soap than a 1/4 teaspoon. So with this brush, here's what display looks like after, I guess 6 uses probably. It's about right, plus or minus 1. And it's looking pretty good. I do hope it expands a little bit more so that it holds more soap. You know, I had to kind of work it a little bit to get it, but it's young. It's super young. I don't actually need the tips to get any softer. So they're going to, which is pretty neat. They're going to keep splitting, and but right now they feel terrific. Really happy about that. So all I want around right now is just display. Just got finished dropping it on a towel. It's ready to sit for a couple of days until it's time to come around again in the rotation. I'm really enjoying playing around with these boars. I mean, sure, I love my badgers. They were wonderful and soft and just crazy. But I don't know, right now, kind of on this little boar kick, and it's really fun watching them all grow at once. So yeah, it is the 22nd shave with the feather, and it's definitely not as sharp as a cutter as it was in the first 10 uses, but it's still very comfortable, very enjoyable. We'll see how long this guy will go. So the shave went really well. Let us throw on some post-shave stuff. See what I have down below. So this is Soap Commander, and they have one unscented that doesn't have menthol. Since usually menthol I've tried their balms with menthol, and they're still a little bit too mentholy for me. More of a burning sensation that I don't really care to repeat, rather than a cooling sensation that a lot of people get. This is the one. They have integrity with menthol and without. So this is the one I go for. It's unscented. A nice performing balm. So the shave went really well. Super comfortable. Yeah, very close. Really happy with the result. Closer than average. So this feather is still sharp enough to perform at the highest level for me. This is my litmus test area right here. Let's do a razor tour. This is an uncommon razor that you're not going to see too often. The thin handle. It's the same design as the fat handle tech. It's got the checking here, smoother here, but it's still, you can kind of see the ridging. And it's hollow inside. You can feel the balance. At least it sure seems that way. The top cap looks pretty standard. It's got the 2 rails there and the 4 posts in the corners to keep the blade steady. And pretty normal top cap there. Now, some of the techs, I don't know. There are some techs that might actually feel a little more solid to me and be a little bit more consistent shavers, the US ones, because they might hold the blade, come up to on the bottom side of the blade, come up a little closer to the blade edge, more so than this one does. See, it's got kind of a flattish top there. And then plenty of drain room, no problem there. They put ridges along the safety bar to let it just move across your skin easily. And then here's that flat bottom, made in England. And all that, just shine to a high gloss. This one has come across over the years, well taken care of, and I plan to continue that. So, great little piece. And it is the same threading as all the Gillettes are. And so if I don't like that little handle, I can just get another one of my own. So very nice. That is it. Man, that 1305 is just a wonderful brush. I just really like it. Continuing to love this extra large size Quintero bowl. You'll see on the link there. And I just discovered there are services online, if you don't have a 3D printer, where you can upload files. I think they're PCB files, I'm not really sure, but you upload the files that you download off of a sharing site that shares things you can print. And then it'll give you a quote. It'll cost this much to print it, cost this much to ship it, and that's all there is to it. You say go, give it your payment info or whatever, and then it's showing up in your mailbox. So pretty cool, pretty cool. I might have to experiment with that. I know the plastic filament in some cases is not all that expensive, but obviously there are going to be machine costs because they have to clean the machines that print and different things like that. They have to clean up the extra trimmings and stuff. They have to then piece it all together and ship it to you. So there's definite costs involved. I did a little Googling and found a site that pointed to a few different services, and it looked pretty reputable, so I was happy about that. I'm sure you could find the same stuff. I think one of them was called like Make XYZ, something like that, and it seemed like it was pretty reputable. Obviously do your research with this kind of new technology, because there's going to be some disreputable companies out there who might be trying to take advantage of people. But do a lot of research, try to find a lot of references to it online to make sure that it's a good place if you want to experiment that way. I think I saw one cool brush handle that looked like a lightsaber handle, and then the rack that you would hang it on had some Star Wars logos and things like that on it as well. It was kind of almost like an art sculpture piece, if you will. So really neat stuff, can be made out there, and I'm looking forward to experiencing that myself. Hopefully someday I'll get one of those printers. They're coming down in price, I think. So who knows? Maybe within 5 years, might be able to grab one of those. All right. Well, it was a good shave. I am sad that the barbershop scent strength did not increase. Oh well. But everything else was spectacular. The feather did not feel smooth per se. I felt the edge, but it was in a controlled way. It was fairly comfortable. It wasn't quite as comfortable as how I feel it on a razor like a Wolfman or a Christopher Bradley by Carve, or a like the Razor Rock Game Changer, the 84 Gap. Those hold the blade really close to the edge on the top and the bottom. And so there's a consistency and a feel that's just so solid. This didn't have quite that, but it's still very enjoyable. Wonderful piece of history. I'm glad to have it. Hope there was something here for you in this video. You take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Bye-bye.